Welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchable News. It's Tuesday, June 9th, 2026. Let's get in the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, Republicans want the White House to weigh in on FISA's next steps. Number two, inside Todd Blanche's confirmation timeline. And number three, there's skepticism on the latest AI legislative effort. All right, Jake, let's get into it. We are leading off this morning with a look at how Republicans, particularly Senate Republicans, are looking for the White House to weigh in, to have a strategy about what the next steps are just days away from FISA expiring on Friday.
Yeah, that's right. A great addition this morning, I got to say. Very, very happy with how everything turned out. As Brez was at the Knicks game, as he has shared on social media. So I don't feel bad saying this, but he shared it on social media, and the Knicks lost. So it is 2-1. So game tomorrow night. We'll see if the Knicks could get it back. But this series is heading back to San Antonio. Again, it's Tuesday, June 9th. FISA runs out on Friday, June 12th. Once again, for the second week in a row, Republicans are saying that Trump has to clean up his mess that he has made with FISA. They said this on the weaponization effort, the weaponization fund last week. Mm-hmm. The president did clean that up to most Senate Republicans' liking, and had his attorney general said he's not going to do it. But if you just listen to these quotes in the top, it's very clear the frustration here. John Thune, the administration probably at some point is going to have to come up with a permanent nominee that will be viewed at least by enough Democrats as sufficient to get their support. That's John Thune on what Trump needs to do with DNI, not Bill Pulte, basically. John Cornyn, who Trump recently defeated. I want the president to succeed, but sometimes he undermines his own position. No doubt about that. So, there was some talk yesterday about a short-term FISA solution coming in on this week, but Democrats are not going to vote for that at this point, and I don't think Thune could get an agreement to get it through. So unless today or tomorrow or even Thursday, I suppose, the president nominates somebody with some experience to take over DNI, FISA is going to expire.
Yeah, I think, Jake, the interesting point here is you also have some Republicans saying like, oh, well, DNI is not as important as it once was. Like, that's a separate argument altogether, right, than whether or not
Agreed.
He appoints somebody different, right? And I think that's kind of like moving the ball down the goalpost here.
Agreed.
Right? And I don't think that is going to be sufficient for Democrats, that's going to assuage their concerns at all with the idea that Bill Pulte has been the person who's nominated here.
Yeah, I agree with you. There are two different arguments here, right? There's the argument that DNI needs reforms. Remember, there aren't a lot of, so let's say you take that position. Okay, that's a fine policy position to take. I don't think that's going to unlock this bill right now. And remember, like, Susan Collins is one of the people who wrote the statute that created DNI, right? So there are going to be members of Congress who are going to zealously guard the office of the Director of National Intelligence. It's not going to be so easy that they just say, all right, DNI's gone. Let's reauthorize FISA.
Right.
In fact, I think that complicates it.
Right.
I think that complicates it. And having Pulte go out there saying, I want to fire a bunch of people, or Trump saying he should fire a bunch of people, is not something that is going to help this process at this point. You know what I mean? I think that it's going to complicate it, and time is running incredibly, incredibly short.
All right, Jake, this is the number two story of the morning. Inside Blanche's confirmation timeline, top Senate Republicans and the Trump administration are aiming to confirm Todd Blanche as Attorney General by the end of the summer, according to multiple sources familiar with the plans. That is a quick timeline and could be complicated by many things, including the fact that the Republicans are going to need to have a party line vote coming out of Senate Judiciary. This is tight, and we will be watching very closely to see whether or not Blanche, there's concern, right? It's not just by Democrats, but concern by Republicans that Blanche, who was the president's former personal attorney, is going to be putting that hat on when he is Attorney General.
Yeah, this is, well, first of all, let's take a quick step back here. The president formally nominated Blanche yesterday. He has to submit paperwork, which is financial disclosure, FBI background check, and a completed questionnaire. The Senate Judiciary can only schedule Blanche's confirmation 28 days after he turns in all of his paperwork. Blanche could submit those documents pretty soon, considering he just went through the confirmation as for deputy AG last year. So the earliest that Chuck Grassley could schedule a hearing is probably mid-July, and that leads to the next question is, can he get confirmed? Tom Tillis, key Republican to watch, said he will oppose any nominee who has underplayed or dismissed the seriousness of the January 6th attack on the Capitol. John Cornyn, as you said, Anna, is saying that being AG is a unique job because you're not the president's lawyer, you're the chief legal officer for the United States, but you're also a member of the cabinet, which means you can be fired at any time. So Cornyn has some questions he wants answered. The point we wanted to make with this item, on top of just the hurdles, is that we are, from the moment they turn these documents in and fulfill the disclosure requirements, they are still 28 days from a hearing in judiciary. The next step is judiciary is going to be tough for Blanche. So those are the kinds of steps that we have. And is Blanche going to get confirmed? I don't know. It doesn't look like it, but things could change. And even if he's not confirmed, he could stay in there for a while because of the Julie Su precedent.
Sure.
Julie Su under Joe Biden, as we kind of reported a few months ago, Todd Blanche could stay in that position as acting AG for some time.
All right, let's move to the number 3 story of the morning. Skepticism on the Obernolte-Trahan AI effort. The 2 members of Congress still need to convince many members on Capitol Hill that their proposal to regulate artificial intelligence is the way to go. The discussion draft will take at least a few weeks to be introduced as a bill. Leadership from both parties has been cool to the proposal, and there are several House committees with jurisdiction over the legislation whose chair say they are only now grappling with the proposal. Interesting, because this was, this came out to a lot of fanfare, a lot of, kind of thought about, okay, is this going to be actual legislation that can get across the finish line? But a lot of hurdles here, Jake.
Yeah, I think, I don't know about dead. And let's say this, a few things to keep in mind. It is almost certain that Congress is going to need to pass something on AI in the near future, some sort of guidelines, et cetera, et cetera. Ted Cruz said he, in the Senate Commerce Committee, is going to release some AI bills over the next couple of weeks that deal with kids and AI. Okay, so that's in the Senate. It should be praised that there are people working across the aisle. That is a good thing. Wow, look at that. That's Congress. It's working, kind of. But this Obernolte-Trahan bill is facing huge headwinds. It has 5 committees of jurisdiction: Energy and Commerce, Science, Space and Technology, Judiciary, Homeland Security, Ed and Workforce. All of those committee chairs are like, we'll take a look at it. Not that, I'm not sure it's the right thing. We got to look at it, blah, blah, blah. Democrats, the Democrats AI discussion group that's sanctioned by leadership, said that this cannot serve as the basis for productive dialogue. That's quite the comment, Dana. So it's a big bill. It is something, and also the House Republican leadership is cool to it as well. So good try. It should be praised for at least doing something, but this is not going to be the nucleus for action, let's say.
All right, we will leave it there. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media, tell your friends. It's the best way to find out about us. And of course, you can go deeper on all things Punchbowl News, the stories we talked about this morning, and more by going to punchbowl.news. Sign up for our free morning newsletter. Have a great day and stay safe, everybody.